Hello, 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 hello. Welcome everybody to Coach Paul Segment Home. It is my pleasure to host you today, to be your guide, your director, everything you need me to be in order to help your small women and minority-owned businesses grow, grow, grow. That's what we're all about here. Every Friday at 3 o'clock, around the 3 o'clock hour, we do a broadcast on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube to help you get closer and closer to whatever your goals are. You are in luck. Today, we are starting a brand new series. And in this series, actually, we are about to cover some of the in-depth portions of the series. We started a couple weeks ago on this series and helping you try to understand what it means to really, truly grow high-trust professional relationships. Now, let's think about that for a second. Why would you want to grow high-trust professional relationships? It turns out that we need each other quite a bit more than we might naturally give ourselves credit for. In fact, studies show that professionals who have achieved a tremendous amount of success, greatness, achievement, whatever you want to give them credit for, have always done it with the help of a wonderful team, a great tribe, a group of people who would stand beside them, ride or die, make things happen, and help create opportunities for them to move themselves forward. And these people have been people who have been lateral to them in terms of people that they've been able to work with together on the same kind of level. There's people who have been, far superior in maybe talent or resources that they've been able to work with together, and people who have actually needed to be developed and trained by them, either as an employee or a younger friend that need to be developed. But you need to understand there's a benefit to every professional relationship, and that benefit is enhanced with the right people around you. And that's when the skill of networking becomes critically important to your personal and professional development. It doesn't matter what you are, what you're trying to do, knowing how to network, learning how to network, doing it exceptionally well at a high level is always a benefit. It is never going to be something that detracts from your ability to reach forward and do something, but it behooves you to do it correctly. Having said that, the series we started off talking about the overall benefits of networking. In section 1 and section 2, we started talking about the next level of what it takes to really get to know and be known by the target market and the audience that you need to play with, whether those are investors or trusted advisors, or people who might want to be your high-level clientele, or people who are literally people that you need to leverage and create opportunities to grow with, right? And so the first level we talked about was learning how to listen, how to really identify people and opportunities that are readily there for you. They already need, want, and enjoy, and will afford the things that you have to promise. I have a program that I might do a little later on in this year called the 100% closing ratio, where I teach people how to identify people who are actually prospects for what they're offering, not just suspects. There's people that may want what I have to offer, but wouldn't you want to deal with people who absolutely want what you have to offer, who you absolutely know they need it and they absolutely will afford it at whatever price that you think that it's appropriate to charge for it? That's when you get a prospect. Until then, you just got a suspect. And if you waste a lot of your time on suspects and not a lot of time on prospects, you can see what's going to happen to your success ratio, your prospect, your product ratios, and all those things are going to be off, largely because you're not identifying the right people. So a part of listening is being able to identify the right people, the right market, the right strategy, you have to be able to identify. And they're going to teach you, if you do this well, if you listen well, you're going to learn what to say. You're going to learn what not to say. You're going to learn how to say it in a way that's going to work for you. But you really do have to do that first step. You can't get anywhere in relationship building without that first step. You owe everybody that you want to work with the attention that they deserve. The second step, and it's not as critical as the first step, but it is critical. The second step is promises, right? And we're going to talk about that today. And we'll go into detail about that. And then next week, we're going to get into follow up and follow through. So we talked about listening. After you listen to a person, after you're in a conversation, say, and you're at a conference or a meeting or some kind of networking function, and you have the opportunity to hear what others are saying. You listen to them, listen to what their needs are, listen to what the pace of their conversation is, listen to the inflection of their voice, listen to what they're passionate about, and listen to what they're not so passionate about, but passive about. Listen to them so deeply that you can feel that kind of connection. And then you know from what they tell you where they're going, what they're looking forward to. If they haven't given you enough information, ask some questions. Learn how to ask very, very important and very, very poignant questions. Right? I have a program for people create and develop the kinds of questions that one needs to create and develop to make sure that you're listening to the things that you need to develop. So that was always phase one. We talked about that. Today, we're going to talk about what happens next. What happens next after you've listened, and you've listened exceptionally well to people around you and the things that you're doing, right? People that are making things happen for you and your organization. What happens next is you have to have the ability to move the needle. You have to have the ability to move things forward. You have to have the ability to help people grow, right? In order to do that, a couple things have to happen, right? In the section number 2, and if you look at the workbook that's attached to your program, the section number 2 is promises, promise, right? The 13 strategies to deliver on promise and grow your relationships. That's what this next session is all about. That's what this next session is going to mean. It's super, super important that no matter what you do, that you're exceptionally good at making commitments, honoring those commitments, and sharing your talents and making sure that you get to shine through. And let's get into some details about why that is so important. When you look at promises, right, it's important that you understand those two sides of promise, right? Two sides of promise. One is make and keep successful commitments. Super, super, super important. And Second is capitalize on your potential in a big way. You can do these two things, then you're going to find yourself in a very good position. You're going to find yourself being able to get the right people on your side. You're going to find yourself making it easy for you to make and keep commitments. And this is an important step, because a lot of times we want to share what we're doing and how we're doing things and what we're all about and all that kind of stuff. But we're not sure. And again, if you haven't listened correctly, you are going to flop, because you're going to say things that are not attractive or not interesting to the right people, right? So we're going to show you the masterful techniques that you will have even the most influential people literally begging to get to know more about you. You're not trying to close a deal in the first conversation of a person that you don't even know, right? But you are trying to make a promise. And let me share with you the big ideas that we're going to talk about today. And promises. We're going to help you understand how the road to real opportunity begins with promise. And then we're going to talk about sharing that which is the most value, right? Has the greatest gift to everybody involved. And then we're going to talk about how time and talent are both substantive matters, right? We tend to negate them, but we're going to talk about those things. We're going to talk about where they're coming from and why it's important that we focus on them, and how do we go about the business of focusing on the highest calling that all of us may have, right? We're going to talk about how belief is created. We're going to talk about how hope is inspired. We're going to talk about how a promise kept is actually a demonstration of caring. And then we're going to talk about the future and how the fact is there is no future without promises. There is no future without talent, a talent trajectory. There's just no future without it. Okay, if you look at that pyramid that's on the top of the chart, and you'll be able to see on page 5, there's a pyramid, right? In this pyramid, I call this the promise pyramid. It's the promise opportunity continuum. And as you understand, when you make a promise, when you say to someone, I'm going to deliver something to you based on the need or a desire or some kind of indication that of interest that they've already shown. That's the key component to this thing, right? If they've already shown an interest, it's time for you to make a promise to do something small, something insignificant to you, but very significant to them. For instance, if someone says to me, hey, Mark, I'm really thinking about this networking thing, but I have to say, I'm not comfortable with it all the way around, and I need to know what to do. I might say to them, listen, I have a program that I could send you. Won't cost you anything, right? I can send it to you for free. You can take a look at it, evaluate it for your own, look at the questions, and look at the exercises that I give you, and really kind of work through a couple ideas, and then do me this favor. Promise me you'll call me, and let's set up a time where we can discuss what you think about the training guide or the document. Now, you're not like me. Most people are not like me in that they write and develop training just for fun. I do it all the time. I got a training guide for almost anything you can think of, right? Some manual that I've created, some training guide that I've created, some PDF file, some content that I've shared. I've got tons of newsletters that I've put together in terms of articles, and I've been published thousands of places, right? So I do this for fun. You know, I come upon a new idea and I want to go back and explore it. Sometimes I'm doing public presentations, so I'll put together a speech or some kind of presentation to share publicly, either a PowerPoint deck or something like that. But I'm always making those things available to people, right? But now people who invest in my coaching program, they get all of it for free because it's like one big download. They get an opportunity to see and share my entire Google Drive, which has everything I ever create on it. That's going to help develop people. It's massive, and it's impressive, to be honest with you. So it's very, very important. But I can offer those things. If people tell me they're interested in some kind of growth and development for themselves, I have programs for that. If they're interested in trying to help become better leaders for their team members, I have programs for that. I have stuff at the ready to answer the call of the potential customer or investor or a mentor or advisor that I'm looking for. Right, so it's always to think about, what can you promise? What do you have? What can you pull from in your talent pool that you can share with someone liberally, right? If it's going to cost you something, it's going to cost you a lot of time, a lot of effort. Don't make a promise to do that. Make a promise to do something small that, again, make me a small investment of your time and your efforts, but a large investment to someone else. I promise you, everybody I've ever shared the 9 steps to masterful professional relationships have always gone, wow, I did not know it was this complicated. I did not know how important all this stuff was. But think about it. If you can't make a promise to somebody after listening to them in a way that has brought you some kind of connection to do something, to follow up on something that's gonna drive more opportunities for you to potentially grow this relationship. Basically, you're ready to ask them out for a date, right? You had this talking to take this relationship to the next level. Let's do this again. But why should you? Right? You're setting up an opportunity to answer that question with your promise. You're saying, listen, we were talking and I heard you say that this might be something that you're interested in. I happen to have an article that I found that's very, relates exactly to what you're talking about. Do me a favor. Can I send it to you? Will you follow up? Let me know how things are going. That's going to be amazing, right? If you do this, you're going to really set up the opportunity for you to make a promise out of your talent, out of your gifting, out of your abilities, out of the things that make you tick, right? You're going to be able to do that really well. And it's super important. I can't say enough how important it is to be able to take from your gifting and your talents and make promises and commitments. You have promise. You are a person. You have promise, right? Because we all do. For those of you who know the Bible says your gifts will make room for you, right? So if you have real talent and it's an exceptionally high level, then you can use it as a trajectory to move yourself, your business, your career forward. Even if you're not in the career exactly. There's thousands of examples I can give you about that kind of stuff. And again, if you have any questions about anything I'm saying right now, feel free to pop that information in the chat. Feel free to take a look at anything we're talking about and so on and so forth. I will definitely follow up with you. I see a lot of you are logging on from LinkedIn and from Facebook, and thank you very much. If you're logging in for the first time, definitely, it doesn't matter when you're logging in for what time you're logging in. Put your information in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from. Let us know, some of the things that are going on with you. If you got some books you want to share or some ideas you want to share, feel free to share as much as you want in the chat. Put links to stuff that you're interested in, or you think some other people's events or things that you're doing. Put that information in the chat. We want to make this an engaged and valuable community for everybody. And for God's sake, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. That will help me drive more benefit to more people, right? Big ideas. I told you, we're talking about that pyramid on page 5 on the top right-hand corner, right? Promise, when you have it, leads to hope. When you're committable to them, not valuable to you, but valuable to them, right? All of a sudden they have hope, right? When you start to deliver on that promise, you've transferred that hope into belief. And when you deliver that promise and you create opportunities for those people, that's where the magic starts to happen. That's where the relationship starts to take full bloom, because now people go, well, wow, you don't just talk, you actually deliver on things that you say you're going to do, and you do it in a big way in terms of the quality of what you deliver. You don't deliver shammy stuff. It's really high important stuff. Now, I'm a content creator. You don't have to be a content creator. I said earlier, you can share some amazing content that you already found based on the interest that person has, right? Either way, you're asking them to take a look at it. You're asking for permission to follow up to see if it worked for them. If they liked it, if they enjoyed it, what did they like, what they enjoyed. You're asking for some real feedback, right? That's why you're setting up the next appointment. That's why you're getting together on the next telephone call or the next Zoom call or video conference, whatever you got going on, right? Super important. So now you can understand where I'm coming from when I say the road to opportunity begins with promise. Because if you don't set any expectation that somebody's going to have it, nobody really is developing hope or belief in what you're saying and what you're doing, what you're bringing to the table, then there's no opportunity for them to see you. And I want you to really understand that. I'm going to come back to that later on. People need to see you doing you at a high level. And I'm talking about your character, not just your competence. I'm talking about they need to see you. They need to see you making a commitment, keeping that commitment, following through on that commitment. I can't stress that enough. The next thing you want to do is understand that sharing with someone else something that has value to them is one of the greatest gifts you can give them. Number one, it says, I was paying attention to you when you said whatever it is that you said. I saw you, I recognize you, I heard you, I appreciate what you're bringing to the table, and I have something that I think if I share with you will make a difference for you, right? Being able to say that, being able to bring that kind of power to any table that you've been invited to play on, to any environment that you are working with, is so smart, is so intelligent, but so many people don't take the time to listen enough and don't take time to craft several different promises that they might be able to share with someone to open up an opportunity to grow the relationship and go into the next level, right? So it's super, super important. You got to be able to share something of great value to them. Next thing you need to understand is when you make a promise, it's a serious thing because you're about to share your talents and your gifts and your ideas with someone else and ask them for feedback and ask them to give you some type of analysis or some type of understanding of whether or not that was good and worked for them. You're asking them to give you time. You're asking them you're sharing your talent with them and you're asking them to give you time to actually take a serious look at it. So don't give somebody a 50-page document, right? Don't give somebody a boring presentation and think you're giving them something, right? Make sure it's actually high quality stuff. It's high quality material, high quality ideas, high quality information, and it's not that difficult. AI today, I'm going to say Bing Chat, makes it easy for you to come up with some substantive, critical analysis on almost anything that you want to come up with and come up with some great materials, some great ideas. In fact, for those of you all who are watching this and you haven't reached out to me in any way, shape, or form, I got to put my information up. That's going to be helpful to you. Look at that. Bow, bow, bow. You can find me, you can call me, you can text me, you can email me. I'm available. You can just ask me for anything you want to ask me. Ask me a question, ask me anything. I will follow up. I will contact you, and we will make some magic happen for you. But it's important that you make that promise and you give that time. You give the person the ability to give the time of attention to you, because the greatest gift anyone could get and receive is attention. You already gave them your attention when you were listening to them. What you're asking when you're following up on your promise is them to pay attention to you, right? With something, by the way, that's also good for them. So it's a win-win on both sides of the equation, right? You are delivering a promise to them that you hope was good, or that you better know it, by the way, is pretty much good for them, and they're paying attention to you vis-a-vis the information that you're sharing or the opportunity that you have. And that allows them to give you the return on your investment of listening to them. Right? I already told you last week, don't listen to everybody, right? So you want to make sure you're really listening to people who matter in terms of what you're looking for and what you're looking at. I'm talking about strategic networking. I'm not talking about just shake hands and smile and talk to anybody, everybody. I'm talking about being very laser focused and specific about who you want to build relationships with, because your time and talent are both substantive matters, and so is theirs, right? I told you earlier, belief is created from hope. When you deliver on a promise, when you make a promise and you deliver on that promise, you actually create hope and belief. And without that promise, without setting that expectation, without making the commitment that people are having a wonderful time just thinking about receiving what you have for them, then Why should I meet with you again? Why should I talk with you again? What is the benefit to me of even considering you outside of, you did take some time to listen to me, and I may feel compelled to spend some time listening to you. But really, what are you offering? What are you bringing to the table for me right now that's going to be easily accessible for me to get to? Something I can't say no to because I need it. And you have it. Make the promise. Use your talent, use your expertise to leverage to something that somebody else wants. Again, a promise kept is caring demonstrated. If you do not care enough to commit to a person who you need to develop a relationship with up front, do something that's important for them up front, then you might not have another opportunity to work with them again. You might not have an opportunity to sit down with them, to talk with them, to share anything with them, even something that's good for them, because you flubbed it in the beginning. So it's very, very important that you are in touch with what you bring to the table and you have something of material relevance to share. No, don't share your testimonials. Don't share your reviews on 5-star reviews on Yelp. Don't do any of that salesy type of stuff. Share something with them that you know they want, that's going to help them immediately without any other further commitment or connection to you. That's valuable. That's saying I care. That's saying I'm listening to you. Even if you know that it's a cookie cutter thing, you're going to share it with everybody, right? So it's important that they get the sense that this is important to you and important to them, right? Understand, without your ability to listen and your ability to make promises, there's no future relationship possible. Right? When you do this right, I got to tell you, it becomes magical. I'm going to share with you one of my favorite quotes relating to promise. And this one comes from, which one do I want to choose? I love this one, from Norman Vincent Peale. Brother Peale says, promises are like crying babies in theater. They should be carried out at once. I love this thought process. If you're going to make a commitment to do something for somebody that they want, and you get back to your office and go, I know I promised I was going to send that to you. Maybe I didn't get around to it, blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you something. If I'm going to send you something, or I'm going to follow up, I'm going to make a promise to share something with you, some idea with you, I'm going to do it right there. I'm going to say, you know what? I got this for you. You can't read it tonight, but when you get a chance to get home, I want you to take a look at it. What's your cell phone number? I'm going to send it to you right now. Again, asking for permission. Is it okay if I send it to you? It's something that you might find interesting. It's a small document. It really goes into some depth about how you might want to achieve blah, 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 blah. Would you mind if I share it with you? Fine. I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to text it to them right then. A couple things happen, right? I got their phone number, the correct spelling of their name, and I'm attaching their document in a text. Now, when I follow up, I'm already going to be in their phone. They're going to know it's me. They're going to know why I'm calling. I'm going to make a commitment. Listen, I think you'll be able to get through this over the next 3-4 days, right? So yeah, I'll get to it, I promise. Good. I'm going to call you on day 3 just to discuss it with you. Would that be okay? I just really want your feedback. If you thought it was incredible, if you thought it was useful, if you thought it was meaningful, I really like to hear, what, if anything, you could do to use this to bring yourself forward. Would that make sense? Would that be okay if I followed up with that? Fine. No pitch. No, can I show you my stuff? Can I tell you how wonderful I am, what I do, and so on and so forth? Now, they may ask you at some point in this process, you've been so kind. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about yourself? I feel like I don't know you. I need to know more about you. That's when you give the pitch perfect elevator speech. They have a program if you're interested in. If you just just follow up with me. It's called the 5 elements of the perfect elevator presentation, or the perfect presentation. 5 elements of perfect presentation. Send me a note, a text, DM me that you want that, and I'll send it to you. Won't cost you anything. But the rule is what? What's the rule? Yeah, that's right. You got to give me feedback. So don't take my stuff if you're not gonna give me feedback. Because I'm gonna put the energy and effort. I've already put the energy and effort, put it together, and I update a lot of these training manuals like once a year, right? I go through them, I make sure that the information, the stories, the text is still relevant today, right? Super, super important stuff. Now I'm gonna talk to you about a couple of exercises I think that can really help you grow your ability to make and keep commitments, and your ability to find that thing within you that's super special, that thing that you could promise, the thing that you own, the things that you can deliver on, right? The expectation that you can set. Number 1, schedule and conduct interviews with people that you have already met in your past, people that are important to you in your past, and ask them, what do they feel that they can count on you for? What do they know that you can do so well that they can trust you to do it at almost any time, anywhere, right? You want to get a sense for it. You might know what your talents and gifts are, but you want to get a sense for what your trusted other friends and associates, know that they can count on you for. Know that you have a high level of credibility, right? They may say, oh my God, you tell the greatest stories. If that's the case, you may want to break down your process for telling stories. You might not even know you have a process, but you have a process. If they say, oh my God, I can tell you, you've always been a person of integrity, or you've always been a person who I knew that was not just a character, but have a high quality character. And you could say, you could ask them, could you share me an instance of, where that character really showed up? By the way, would you mind if I take notes on that? As they're talking to you, write some notes. Let me see if I got this right. You said that when we were working together on this project, I was able to deliver this thing on time with a great amount of value, with some feedback and some notes that help you and your team grow it in a capable way that really, really helped you in your business. That's the case? Yes? Cool. Do me a favor. If I type this up, can I send it to you? You can sign it and put it on your own letterhead, or maybe send it back to me as a recommendation or some type of endorsement. Would you mind doing that for me? What are they going to say? They just said wonderful things about you, of course. You need to collect as many endorsements, as many third-party recommendations as you possibly can. Why is that? I'll tell you why. If you go look on my LinkedIn profile today, you're going to see over 200 recommendations. These are literally testimonies of people that I've worked with in the past. And they share a lot about not just what I did for them, but who I am in the doing. It's very hard to share your character with people who don't know you. But when you have 200 people saying different and various things about you, it's easier for them to get a sense of what your character is. And this is super important, because when people know your character as well as your competence, then they have no reason not to give you the trust. The problem is we ask for too much trust too soon without delivering the amount of character they need to see and the amount of competence that they need to see in order to give us the trust that's specific to them. Everybody has a level of trust that they will extend to you based on whatever their requirements are. And if you don't know what their requirements are, you have to find out what those requirements are so you can deliver on those requirements and they can give you the trust. Now, in the book, Speed of Trust by Stephen M. R. Covey, he breaks down the whole strategy in terms of the academic side of trust that I think you all need to know. All of us need to know how to get to high trust quickly. And if you don't do that, then you and the people. Okay, let's move on. Next exercise. Write out your process for handling professional obligations, whatever that process is. Make it a system that you can easily duplicate and follow. Now, at some point, somebody's going to ask you what you do. They want to sit down with you. You're going to want to share them with your process. And after you've gotten permission to do so, and they said they're interested in finding out more about it, you want to be able to share step by step by step. This is what you're going to do. I'm going to have an initial meeting with you. We're going to do some diagnostics. We're going to find out what your pain points are. We're going to figure out what kind of strategy we might want to attach to that pain point and deliver that strategy to you, and then find out if it's something that you want to work with me on. And then we're going to share with you our consulting fees and opportunities to work with us. And then we're going to get you started. Day one, here's a whole bunch of homework that you got to do, a lot of assessments that you have to do in order for us to begin that process. It's easy, it's affordable, it's fast, and it works 100% of the time. Right? You have to be able to know what your process is. You have to know what people are going to ask you questions about and be ready with those answers. Now, this promise thing, this value thing, this talent thing that I talk about, I know it's kind of nebulous, but think about it like this. Your ability to be trusted by somebody else means, to them at least, you are trustworthy, right? But one doesn't begin being trustworthy to other people without first being trustworthy to themselves, meaning you have integrity, meaning you make promises and keep promises to yourself. And that's where you should start. What is it that you can count on you for? What is it that you know that you can do for you really well? And how are you doing that? I would suggest to you, if you are caring for yourself, you are doing at least 5 things. You're drinking water, you're exercising, you're eating right, you're making sure you breathe well and often, and you are resting in a way that is rejuvenating, right? Not just closing your eyes and waking back up. I'm talking about you getting a nice renewing sleep. Again, water, exercise, healthy diet, right? Rest, and you're breathing. If you're doing these 5 things, you're taking care of yourself exceptionally well. These 5 categories, you're going to experience a level of energy and a level of understanding in life that other people wish they could. They can't tell you why they're all jacked up. I can tell you why they're all jacked up. It's one of them 5 things, that's probably getting to them. And, there's not a lot we can do about getting old. There's not a lot we can do, but there's a lot we can do about living well. And it starts with those 5 things. Now, I'm not saying that's just the bare minimum, right? But if you're doing those standard things, now you can layer on top of that, right? You can create, all kinds of different strategies and figure out what works for you better and what doesn't work for you. But those 5 things you got to incorporate. You got to, at minimum, incorporate those 5 things. But start keeping those small promises to yourself. If you say that you're going to get on exercise routine, get on an exercise routine, and don't lie to yourself. Start small enough that you won't disappoint yourself, right? Maybe infrequently. I'm going to do this once a week, and then I'm going to do it for 5 minutes once a week, and then I'm going to do it for 10 minutes once a week, and then I'm going to do it for 30 minutes once a week. Then I'm going to do it for 30 minutes twice a week. Then I'm going to do it for 30 minutes 3 times a week. Then I'm gonna do 30 minutes 4 times a week. Then I'm gonna do, you just gotta keep adding on. And the more you make that commitment to yourself in all 5 of those categories, whatever those commitments need to be, start small, then you're gonna find yourself in more control of yourself. You're gonna find yourself in more control of your life. And if you put yourself as a first priority, you're gonna learn what it takes to love you, what it takes to provide for yourself, and the discipline required. You're going to fall in love with that discipline because you're going to like who you become as the pounds fall off, as the strength increases, as the cognitive resources begin to kick in, and you begin to think better than you were thinking before, and you recover faster than you recovered before, and you're able to do more, be more, think more, believe in yourself more. You develop your self-confidence. but you got to take control of you before you try to offer any significant benefits to other people. Because if you do, then you find it's easy. It's easy to fall in love with other people. It's easy to go, I'm going to serve as many people as I possibly can and think you're doing something. But in the meantime, if you're not taking care of yourself, you won't be able to maintain the pace and the commitments that you put out there. So learn to commit with yourself first. Learn to have integrity for yourself first. Read on a regular, consistent basis. You know, even if it's just 20 minutes a day, you know, read something. And try to read something that's varied from the thing you always read. You know, try to expand your horizons to different areas, different categories. You know, try to take a language program, something, you know, that's going to help you think at a higher level. And there's tons of other exercises in here that I'm not going into all the details of the exercises that are out there, but it's on the schedule for everything that's out there. Again, if you guys got any sharing that you want to do, you have any programs or anything that you want to share, feel free to do so. Hey, Nate, I see you out there on LinkedIn. I probably already sent you the training guide for today, but it's going to be a training guide we use for the next few weeks. So if you downloaded it last week or you're downloading it this week, you can have it for the rest of it. I'm going to continue to send it to you, but it's not going to be any different, right? But if you learn something from there, if you have something that you want some feedback or some clarification on, definitely, you know, give me a question, or anytime, either this week or next week, or anytime in the chat. Doesn't matter whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, or on YouTube. I'll see the question and I'll respond, or somebody in the community respond. But here's what's important about this. Don't let your question go. Don't let your thought or your idea just fly out there in the wind, right? Nate says, great point. Once I built the exercise into my routine and planned ahead of time, like any other meeting, I started and was able to stick to it. And now you know that you have integrity, right? You know that you're a person that you can trust. And you're not hypocritical when you ask somebody else to trust you. Does that make sense? I hope it does. It's super, super, super important. If you can't keep promises to yourself, but you ask people you make promises to other people, and you know, you ask them to believe in you, you ask them to trust you, I gotta think you gotta go back to basics. You really gotta start with you. Start with growing yourself, start with growing your processes, start with creating ideas and things that you know you should do. Even in business, you know there's things you should be. You should be making proposals, right? You should be making those phone calls. You should be, you know, visiting, building relationships with your financiers, your bankers, your loan officers. You should be looking for, you know, people to help you with HR and you know, accounting and finance and marketing. You should be building those relationships with people who are experts in the things that you're not expert in. It's a process, but you should be doing it on a regular, consistent basis. If you're not, what's going to happen when you need it? When you need whatever you need, you're not going to have the people there to deliver it for you. But when you build your network and you have the strength of a good network, you're going to be able to do amazing things you can't even imagine right now, because your network is going to bring you ideas that you can't conceive. Next week, we're going to talk about follow up and follow through. And I don't want you to skip this episode. This is going to be some magical stuff. And if you don't believe me, start reading ahead. Start reading ahead and ask the questions that you may have, because I want you coming into next week's presentation prepared to go there, because that's the end of the first trimester of the program that we're delivering right now. It's like the first 3 lessons are, you know, listen up, promises, and follow up and follow through. Those 3 lessons alone, pretty much all you need to begin the foundations of a high quality, high trust relationship with anybody. But you can't skip any rungs on that ladder. You can't skip any steps along the way. If you don't listen to people, but you're trying to make promises, they're not going to work. You're trying to get people to understand and see you, but you're not willing to hear and understand and see them, not going to work. This is all the law of reciprocity that works really, really well, but you have to pay attention to it. You have to be able to stand and deliver. You have to be able to accept and see other people. And you can do those things at a high level exceptionally well. And if you can't do that kind of stuff, I promise you, you're wasting your time, because no one's going to trust you. You're not going to be trusted. And if you're trusted once, that's fine, but you won't be trusted again. And what you want is an enduring trust. You want a lasting trust. You want a trust that you can come back to in the wellspring over and over and over and over and over again and keep delivering on the promise. Keep making the expectation that people have for you. Keep setting the bar higher and higher and higher as the relationship grows. If you find yourself in a professional relationship with somebody, you're doing the same thing you were doing 3 or 4 years ago, the relationship is getting stagnant, man. It's getting old. It's like a personal relationship. It's no different. You got to keep bringing the new. You got to keep making the commitment deeper, making it last longer, making it more valuable over time. I can't stress. All this stuff is super important to building your professional and your personal relationships. We're going to call it a close for today. Really had a great time talking to you guys. Really have one wonderful time as always every week. I love doing this. I love working with entrepreneurs. Love working with business leaders. Love sharing ideas that are going to help them be better at everything that they do. That's what I do. My name is Coach Power and Coach Power Training Development. We do the thing that needs to be done for small businesses all over the world every single day. Call me if you need some help. Thank you very much.